title is correct. The title of the stream is correct. We want that to be the case.
Yep, PRR versus PRX, NGS Season 12, Nexus Division.
Perfect. And then how does the audio sound? What you should hear is a little bit of background music, some light background music.
My audio is much louder than yours.
Okay, let me turn you down. You are much louder than me. This is why we test things. Okay, so I'm audio input. We'll want to drag me up. Okay, start talking.
Hello, 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 testing.
Keep saying testing and shit like that.
Testing, testing, testing. Test, test, test.
And what about now? Try now.
Well, that sounds much more normal, yeah.
Yeah, that's good?
Yeah.
Alright, perfect. And do you hear a little bit of background music?
Yeah, it's barely there, but it's there.
Perfect. Yeah, I didn't want it to be too loud. I'm going to turn it up just a smidge. Let's jump in game. And make sure that we can hear the sounds correctly over our voices. So I'm just going to jump into try mode. Who's a noisy? I feel like Uther's kind of noisy with his hammer. And then we're going to go to in-game.
Agreed. Never put the light.
Okay, so you should see the game. And
Yep.
I'm gonna just keep talking. Blah 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 blah. Things are happening in the
Enemies of the
game.
light,
There's a lot of noise going on. People are talking, and you should be able to hear me during the entire time.
An excellent team.
The audio of the game is overpowering
Good to
the
know.
voices quite a bit.
Let's go to sound, and we'll bring that down even more. And we're trying now. I'm going to be talking. We're talking a bunch. We're saying things, and I am making sure that I am not being drowned out by the sound of the game. Blah 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 blah. How does that sound to G?
That sounds decent. I would put up your volume just a little more.
Okay. Put up my volume just a little bit. Let me see if I can even do that. I'm actually like almost maxed out on my volume. The only other thing I can do is turn like everything else down.
Yeah, I think that might be the thing. You're just a little quiet.
Okay, I'm gonna turn everything else down just a little bit more. Alright. So I'm gonna keep talking. I'm talking, I'm saying things. I'm gonna cast a stun on this person right here. And then we're going to do this, and I'm gonna heal this person. And we're gonna make sure that the sounds of everything sound good.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, perfect. Now you go ahead and talk, and make sure there's a little bit of a delay. Oh, let me make sure I have a 30-second delay, or else NGS will get mad at me. Settings, advanced. Yes, we want a 30-second delay. Okay, perfect.
A sound decision. Rot in hell, boy.
You want me to test mine now?
Yeah, mm-hmm.
Alright, testing. Hit some things. We'll see how it sounds.
Oop, let me go back into try mode, sorry.
Oh, good. Nah, I sound right about where you are.
Okay,
So.
good. I think we're ready then.
The light is with
In that case, I will go to the starting soon screen. And I will mute me.
Hello. Hello. Okay, I'll just mute then until it starts. Yeah. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Hello, 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 hello. Oh, I didn't hear anything. Oh, nope, there it is.
Hey, hello there. So let me get up my stats and everything up.
Yo,
Doop, doop.
how's it going?
It's going well. Um, an exciting time. We've got PR versus PRX. I think Storm has played it, but PRZ is also on our docket very shortly.
We were talking about how the Phoenix Rising matchups are always cursed.
First, what do you mean?
Like we have such a hard time scheduling them with people.
Oh, jeez.
I know, and then like we
This
move
is-
it, and
I mean, because this is like not the right week for it,
it's just the way it is.
and still it's been.
It's all good.
Yeah, it's sorry. I've been really trying.
No, it's okay. Yeah, we can. Like I said, like we can just wait till 9:20 if you think he's gonna show up, and then we'll go.
Frog will.
I'd rather you
Jezzel
guys have as
won't,
much as your
unfortunately.
roster.
But
Yeah.
yeah. Well,
this rate, I'd rather be back in prison.
I'm doing pretty good tonight. Excited to do my first cast with you. My competitive Heroes of the Storm experience, I started NGS back in Season 3 on a Division C team, and I've played in pretty much every single season since. Currently in Heroic Division on one of the Phoenix Rising teams as well, so definitely a lot of experience under the belt. It'll be exciting to watch and see how other people play. We'll make it work. Yeah, they're both large maps and they're both zone control objectives, right? You stand on the point to get progress on the objective. So clearly, Xanthite not a fan of those types of maps. They both hold points, top and bot, where you hold the point for a certain duration and get an objective, right? You hold top and bot, you get the Dragon Knight. You hold top and bot, you get the Zerg Wave. So definitely similarities in the map bands here, showing what these teams really don't enjoy playing with. Um, well, we also know that Ruby picked Battlefield of Eternity, so it seems like they like to be able to fight on an objective as five instead of being split and trying to cap two different objectives. They all like to be gathered on one, and so I think their advantage or their strength is probably in micro where they're team fighting. Yeah, it kind of seems like they prefer macroing and getting the push and the split going, like split pushing. And those two maps, it's a little harder. Maybe not on Sky Temple, but Volskaya for sure. Um, maybe I don't know about those ones.
Very interesting. Now, talk to me a little bit about Battlefield of Eternity. Can you tell me a little bit about the meta on this?
I don't know if there's meta per se. There's probably meta heroes like the racers and things like that. Personally, the way I like to run this map is defending and then going to race the immortal. Some teams choose to have all race and just burn the immortal. There's also poking at the immortal. With like Li Ming, again
Hmm.
Hanzo, where you can get that long range poke in while forcing them to be there and then maybe engaging on a team fight.
And so, Li Ming, Hanzo, you think those might be heroes that are maybe a little bit higher contested as we start to look towards the draft phase?
Yes, definitely in high contention. Another ones are some of the tanks, like a Nubarak. Diablo's always good on this map. Stitches can even work with all those corridors.
That's true. I mean, I think the dream scenario is a stitch hook into like the immortal stun or gorge them onto the immortal stun because that stun, it's pretty debilitating, honestly. You get hit by it and you're probably dead if there are enemies around.
Yeah, following up or setting up into those stuns can really cause a really big chain CC.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. As we go towards the draft here, we'll see what PRX and PRR are looking to do. Let's let them know the casters here are ready. PRX is saying they're ready.
Got a little longer for Ruby.
Both teams here, beloved Phoenix Rising teams. I know Gingy has a particularly strong friendship with Ruby, being kind of an unofficial coach for them. And
Yeah.
myself, yep, and myself being really good friends with PRX as well as PRR. In chat here, GG Grace from Match Ready. What's up, man? Good to see you. Giving a little bit of shade, a little bit of flack, saying day 3 of waiting for match to start. And 100% true. I'm right there with you, man. If I could grow a beard, which I cannot, this would be the time where I would grow a beard waiting for this dang match to start.
Got that 5 o'clock shadow rolling in.
Actually, in like, I've always like been joking and sort of making fun of myself about my inability to grow facial hair. And then all of a sudden I got old. And now I have to shower like or excuse me, I have to shave more accurately, well, like every other day, more or less. It kind of drives me nuts. I used to like think I was cursed by not being able to grow a beard, and now I'm like, man, I kind of miss those early 20s days.
Yeah, I'm still in those phases. I'm trying to get this facial hair to come in, but it's all very patchy.
Hey, we got what is it? It's September, 2 more months, and you'll get yourself that no shave November. Get yourself
Yeah.
that glorious beard or patchy beard at the very least. I think I could pull off a mustache, Gingy. That's like where my facial hair is the strongest. But like honestly, the mustache, I don't know if it's very fashionable. What's going on in chat here? In party chat. Looks like PRR is having a little bit of a player shuffle as we go into this match. Rejoining here. We do have, I believe it's pronounced Frage Stellar joining.
I think it's Fragistellar. I can't remember
Fragistellar.
exactly. I know most people just call him Frag, though.
Okay, Frag. We'll keep that for short. Frag is a unit, says Mr. Grace. Frag will frag. Yes, he will indeed. Casters are ready. I've got my boy here playing this game, Automatic Z. He's been on, he was on my team for about a year. Good to see him playing. A little biased towards Automatic Z. And here we go, jumping into the draft screen here. Battlefield of Eternity. Gingy, you know I've taken a little bit of a break from the game. I took the summer off. I do not know what the meta here is. Can you tell me about some of the busted heroes that we may see for bans? Maybe some target bans for PRX or PRR?
Target bands, I'm not sure. Hogger, definitely a good one on this one. He has the bounces. He'll wreak havoc on those objective points.
These are some very quick bans. There's no hesitation. Looks like these first two bans coming out in less than 5 seconds. Tychus, that is played a crap ton by PRX. I know Idioms plays it a lot. I believe Automatic Z's main is actually Tychus, so that definitely smells of a target ban. Mephisto. What?
Interesting.
What? I'm perplexed by that, Gingy. Can you make heads or tails of that?
I think it might be one of Hunter X's main heroes, if I remember correctly. I'm not 100% on that one. Maybe they just really don't like the idea of the hero here.
Interesting. We do have Mr. Grace in chat saying Frag's Mephisto is poggers. Maybe that's a target ban. And the
Maybe.
Vala being banned out here. Another super strong meta hero. See, before I took my break from the game in summer, Vala had just gotten her rework. She was first pick, first ban. Seems like that's still the case as we move towards PRX's first pick here. Stukov, my favorite character. Interesting. Moving towards the 1-2 here for PRR. Anything you think they might grab?
Um, it's tough to say. I think they might go with a DPS take here, maybe a healer or a tank as well. What those heroes might be, I have no clue.
Ooh,
Okay,
okay.
Rexar.
Is Rexar meta on this map? I mean, call me a lowly bronze player here, but what?
I I'm not a fan of the Rexar.
Interesting.
Typically on this map, you don't need a lane bully. You want a team fight oriented offlaner, and Rexar is really more of just a lane bully and point control. So this one confuses me a little bit.
That makes two of us, my friend. Dahaka, S tier, offlaner right here. And then a Hanzo from Automatic Z. That's something that you had called out during chat, or excuse me, during the loading period. that Hanzo's one of the higher contested picks here. We see a ban of Malthael from Ruby coming out, which is interesting because they've already picked their offlaner.
I did a little bit of scouting, and I think Xanthite does do some double bruiser with Malthael. I know Idioms likes Malthael quite a bit, and maybe Ruby is also going in that same direction of heavy frontline and don't want to deal with the Malthael.
Interesting.
Maybe a Deathwing is in the stew here.
Good insight, Gingy. A Deathwing would be really interesting. We have GG Grace in chat saying last year he saw a bunch of people running Rexar on this map, and he speculates that with all the tight chokes, that Misha can get stuns on stuns. Actually, that's true. That's very true. Let's see what the 3 and 4 pick is for Ruby. A Chen and a what? What? Is this? Okay, I am flabbergasted. This is a very strange draft. I mean, Gingy, correct me if I'm wrong, but like this is unconventional.
That's the way Ruby rolls. They do the bruiser instead of tanks. H2O not a big fan of actual tanks for the main tank role. They do typically go with a bruiser in most situations, so this is not that big of a surprise to me.
Interesting, and looks like Xanthite here coming in with the counter double healer. They pick up the Uther as their main tank. Very strong draft here coming out from Xanthite. They've got the Immortal Race, they've got the team fight, they've got the heals. And Ruby here with the last pick. You had mentioned Deathwing earlier.
I don't. You gotta take a hyper carry and some race here. I don't think they can go that.
Interesting. I mean, the
I'm not
Kerosene,
sure about the Ming.
That's weird. This is a very unconventional draft coming out from Ruby. I mean, I guess the race comes from Kerosene?
Yeah,
They
so
poke.
maybe they're trying to poke with Li Ming, but I don't know about this one. They need the Li Ming to get resets, but against an Uther and a Stukov, that's a lot of burst protection, and I don't know how easy resets are gonna come.
That is going to be a weird one. Well, as we're in the loading screen here, we're going to play a quick ad, then we'll jump right into the game. Alright, here jumping into the game, we have Phoenix Rising Xanthite on the right. Gingy Boy, will you do the honors of introducing our friends in green?
Alrighty, we have Iron on the Stukov, we have Automatic Z on the Hanzo, we have Hiva on Uther, Idioms on Greymane, and Joshua Scott in the top lane on Dahaka.
Let's get it from Ruby. Frag on that Kerosene, interesting pick. H2O on the Chen, Danalore piloting Brightwing, moving up to the top lane here. Woohooey, Woohooey is piloting that Rexar, but it looks like Hunter X may be AFK in core. And looks like we might be waiting another 20 years before we get into
Nope.
this game. Oh,
Looks
maybe
like
not.
they're right and ready.
Just on pause. All right, posturing here in this bottom lane. What we're seeing immediately off the bat is a big emphasis on vision control from Xanthite. They're owning these bushes. Ruby, on the other hand, playing a little bit more conservatively, a little bit closer to the gate as they start to clear this bottom wave. Uther going W build here. Aiming, picking up that Aether Walker, and Frag taking a ton of damage here, getting his Stukov root. Stukov slow on him. And that's a lot of damage coming out from Xanthite for this first initial fight. And it does coax out the Brightwing Z pretty early on. And I wonder if PRX will capitalize on this and maybe go for a bottom camp. Hunter X doing a really good job at checking these bushes. Let's look at our top lane fight here. It's Joshua Scott versus Woohooey. How does this matchup go, Gingy?
It should go in the way of Woohooey as long as he stays away from the Hakatungs.
That's the secret. That makes sense. That's why they probably put Chen here on the bottom. A little bit more difficult to interrupt that barrel. PRX making a move for this bottom camp. Iron getting those thick Stukov slaps on there. And H2O positioning himself possibly for an invade. 4-on-4 fight here. Let's see if PRX decides to take it. Iron getting that silence out. There's the Brightwing Z coming out, and there's the cleanse. H2O taking a ton of damage, and Danalore goes down, yielding a kill and the camp to PRX.
Yeah, PRX knew they could just take that fight no matter what because they have the Dahaka Global that can just come in, and he had gotten wave priority right before coming down as well, so really good planning on the side of Zentai.
Yeah, that's just like really solid execution. Knowing that they could take that fight with that back pocket Dahaka Z ready to come down. Shout out to Joshua Scott for a very timely Z. Hiva here, hanging out in this very forward bush, and he does scout a naked and afraid frag doing this camp. We have Greymane here on the top lane. What were you gonna say there, Gingy?
Also, another thing to note here, we have a Transcendence Kerosene instead of your typical Iron Fist.
Oh.
Taking Kerosene for damage, but instead we've gone with the heal from the autos.
Not known for his heals, Joshua Scott does land a beautiful tongue onto Wahui. Interesting builds. I mean, unconventional draft, unconventional builds here coming out from Ruby as they do clear this bottom lane. Xanthite a little slower on their camp, but does get it just in time for the Immortal. 3 of the PRX members starting to run down towards the Immortal right now. Automatic Z and Idioms getting ready to posture around this. Looks like instead opting to clear this camp, while Iron, Hiva, and Joshua Scott sort of are patrolling this. And on the top Immortal here, we have Frag going absolutely ham on this Immortal, with Li Ming not too close behind. Not too far behind, rather. And who's winning this so far? Looks like PRX, by a pretty good margin, might get the first half of this Immortal. PRX's Immortal on the left, PRR's on the right. Getting those slaps, and let's see who's going to win this race. It's actually pretty dang close here. It's a tough call here, Gingy.
Looks like PRX is going to come away with it.
Slightly better. That's actually kind of surprising, the race that Ruby was able to put out with that unconventional draft they have. I guess Kerosene really does bring the deep. Stun here, coming out on H2O. Are they going to bring him down? They do get the Brightwing Z, though.
Although I do question if he had Iron Fist that entire time he was auto-attacking the Immortal, if they could have won it. They were only about 1,000 damage away. I think that bonus damage coming in from Iron Fist might have been able to be the game changer there.
That's a really fair point. I mean, what are they getting in exchange? Just a little bit extra healing? I mean, do they really need that? Because it looks to me like PRR's comp, or excuse me, PRX rather, is kind of bursty. Like, is that extra healing really going to matter? We're going to find out. The Immortal is down here, and PR's moving up a little bit, starting to get some damage out. Hiva doing a really good job posturing on this front line. Idiom's keeping that, what is it, Inner Beast nice and healthy as they clear this wave. A little bit of a lane swap here for both teams. Let's take a look at the talents here. Of course, Cleanse coming out from Uther as he does take a fat orb there from Li Ming, getting pretty low. Growing Infestation at level 7 for Stukov, probably the new meta pick. What do you make of Kerosene's build so far at level 4 and 7 here, Gingy?
I'm not a big Kerosene player, so I'm not 100%. The only one I'm really confused on is the Transcendence pick.
Interesting. So maybe the rest of this is okay. Blinding Speed, that's definitely the pick at level 7, as Idioms does sneak this bottom camp. Joshua Scott here coming to help him out, and Wahui does scout this. Iron on the Stukov going down just a little bit, perhaps to get some vision. Make sure there's no rotations. As we do posture up here for the next Immortal phase, definitely an XP advantage for PRX here as they get ready to pick their ults in about maybe 30 seconds if they can soak these waves. Who do you think is going to have the better team fight post 10 here, Gingy?
Post 10, it's a great question. I think PRX might have the advantage here, purely because of the amount of CC.
And speaking of PRX having the advantage, of Fat Silence comes out as they get a kill. And another camp chasing after Fragstellar. Are we going to see a Licky Tongue come out from Joshua Scott? No. Instead opting to go back towards the wave. And, oh, Gingy, you absolutely called it. I mean, the team fight for PRX has just been stellar so far. But we're not going to count PRR down and out for the count. Ooh, as Uther does get stunned there by Wahui. And that's what GG Grace was calling out in chat, is that Wahui is going to be a stun machine over here. But without level 10s here, Gingy, they just can't compete. They cannot.
No.
Look at this. They're even getting bullied off of their own camp. I mean, this is historically a very greedy play to do, is to try to steal the opposing shaman camp right here. And as we get level 10s, I mean, they may get punished, but a huge arrow comes out from Automatic Z. Here we have the 7-sided strike landing, but it hits multiple people. We have Idioms getting the Divine Shield, trying to get a kill. Huge root coming out from an Earth, Wind, and Fire from Chen. Joshua Scott taking a ton of damage here, forced to burrow. There's the stun. Are we going to see a kill onto Joshua Scott? Oh, I think he's out of there as he race cars his way through those bushes, but Idioms very intelligently disengaging from that fight early, jumping on the Immortal, trying to get what damage he can to narrow down that shield. I mean, if PRX plays this intelligently, they may be able to steal this Immortal. Look, Joshua Scott taking one for the team here. Are they going to get time for Automatic Z to get that DPS onto the Immortal? This is a very tense fight here, Gingy. PRX walking away with the Immortal. And all 5 of their members up. Crazy fight. Rip Misha. Goodbye, Mr. Misha.
Yeah, that was an interesting go-around. PRX definitely not taking the ults that I had expected. Go for the throat, Divine Shield with the Dragon Strike. Avoiding most of the meta picks, I would say, on those heroes.
Maybe they know something we don't here, Gingy. These are very good players, as we see an arrow into a root! This combo is crazy! Look at that damage onto H2O, and most of it just being immediately healed up by that sip, as well as a shield proc right there. PRX aggressively trying to get the sport down, but Hunter X on that Li Ming doing what he can to try to push them back and create that space. Now, as this Immortal's about to die, what is left on the map for PRX to try and get? We have a bottom camp here. We still have their shaman camp. What are they going to do? Gingy, what do you think they're going to do after they get this camp? What's their next play here?
I think they probably just wait and try and get 13s. So, either going top, getting the XP. They're just going to probably play passively until they get level 13s and then try and force something.
Interesting. I bet you're right here. This top wave going to get them a little bit closer. Hyva scouting out this top camp. They know they're here, and Dahaka is bottom. They have both of their globals. Oh, and we have a dig coming out here. There's the silence. A lot of damage coming out. Huge orb. There's the ultimate. Holy cow! 7-sided strike. Not enough to change the tide of this team fight, but maybe Earth, Wind, and Fire is. Ton of damage coming out. Absolutely chaotic fight. Frag taking a ton of damage. Hyva going down. But that is Uther. They are going to have Uther heals and Stukov sustaining them through this fight, and a huge tongue coming out from Wahui. Joshua Scott, if I could ping you, I would. That was an incredible licky tongue there. And, I mean, the execution here from PRX, Gingy, just insane.
Indeed. The Dragon Arrows on the points have been very hard to deal with, on top of the Stukov silence.
Oh yeah, they have so much zone control here. I mean, I remember when you picked that ult in Storm League, you'd get laughed at. And now here we are seeing it in one of the higher divisions of play. I mean, what changed?
I think it's honestly just the way they're playing with it. I think either ult would have been good here. They could have had a great setup with Dragon or Arrow instead of Strike.
Yeah, 100%.
Where they could have done a bunch of CC. But I think they're trying to just control the points with Dragon Strike.
What is the cooldown of Dragon Strike anyhow? It's what, 60? It's only a 60-second cooldown actually. That's pretty low cooldown. I see why they might have taken it here. A stun coming out onto Chen. Are we going to see a root? We do see a Stukov root, but a Brightwing coming in there. Are we going to see the cleanse? Oh, and another massive ultimate coming out from Automatic Z, and almost the entire team of Rubies at health. 7-sided strike coming out, but it's not enough as we do see a Defined Shield onto Idioms, and the Dahaka taking down Chen. This is going to be a free mortal for PRX. I mean, PRR came out with an unconventional draft trying to create chaos here, and unfortunately the execution for PRX is just too strong for them to surmount that. GG Grace in chat saying the meme strikes on point. Yes, they are. These meme strikes absolutely on point. Mortal here, powering up, going for this top lane as he positioned for this fight. Virulent Relaction for Stukov.
The demon approaches.
Isolation here. Yeah, they're going for a single target blow up is really what PRX is telling me. But they do have that ability for multiple kills with Go for the Throw. You do see the top fort here go down. Getting ready to try to siege the gate. Oh, and we have Wahui coming up here, possibly trying to sneak a 4v5. Dahaka is bottom. Are we going to see Boars come out? Are we going to see Boars? Maybe, maybe not. Uther mounted up in the back line. PRX playing relatively conservatively. Interesting, noticing that they're not getting a ton of value. The Rexar does go bottom. He looks like he's kind of going back and forth. Oh, and we do see Greymane taking out the Kerosene there. We did miss that just off screen, which is probably a free keep for PR. Oh, but Uther here getting absolutely deleted by the the chain stun. Beautiful engage there from PRR, possibly getting some momentum back. And here we have the chase coming out, but the reactive Ballista Spores comes and turns the fight around. The leading Chen off the map. Danelore having to use that blink heal to get out. PRR, one keep down, barely with their bottom keep alive, and we do see Katas here. PRX looking like they're going for this aggressive camp steal, but I mean, hey, if you wipe the enemy team, why not? Getting vision of this Wahui does a stun to get out, and going for a relatively aggressive push here. We might see another fight break out. Idiom's taking a little bit of damage, and these zoning ultimates from the Hanzo pushing PRR back, giving him precious seconds to try and bring down that keep. Recognizing that Chen is up, they say, hey, no, we are getting out of here. We do not want to die. We have everything to lose and nothing to gain. Cleanse coming out onto Iron. Nice job there. And a successful retreat back to their fort there, giving Ruby the time they need to steal this camp. Oh, and a stun coming out onto Misha, going down immediately. Joshua Scott getting pretty low, but he does have those double heals and isolation coming out. I do not believe it connected, but we do have the triple root from Earth, Wind, and Fire going on to Haiba, who does die, but he does manage to pop off that Divine Shield. And now the Uther heals is keeping PRX alive as they are mopping up. That's 2 kills. The Rexar, the Misha, oh, and Kerosene going down, Chen going down a little bit before. I mean, do you go for core here, Junji?
I think they can. As long as they don't get hit by too many of Li Ming's spells, I think they can end.
I think so too here. I mean, they still have, what, the Stukov heals up? They need to keep Idioms alive there. I mean, Danelore knows this and is probably looking to get that poly on him. Oh, and we see a retreat call here. Interesting.
Looks like they're going to go with the safer play of just guaranteeing the Immortal, waiting for Uther to come up.
Now, talk to me about Ruby here. What do they need to do to get back into this game here, Jinji? What's their game plan? What's going through their heads right now?
They honestly need to just have a team fight go their way, get this Immortal, and that's the one way back into their game. Into this game is a good 3 or 4 people team, or even the full 5 team wipe, and getting this Immortal. But it's gonna be really tough since they have to deal with catapults, so they have to take a quick fight.
They do. I mean, they don't have much time here. I mean, look, we have a Kata on the core already. So the longer they delay here, kind of the better for PRX. And they are bloodthirsty right here. PRR looking for a fight, and they do catch PRX with their pants down. forcing out the Divine Shield from Haiva himself. Ooh, and a fat P-H-A-T root coming out. That was absolutely gorgeous Iron as a Stukov player. Dahaka coming down here, and oh, are we going to see a Licky Tongue onto H2O? H2O not looking really good here. Super out of position. At this point, you just need to, yep, there he goes. And there's this, oh, Earth, Wind, and Fire, maybe? This is crazy. Is H2O actually going to live from this, Gingy? This is crazy.
I don't think he is.
I mean, he's wasting a lot of time of PRX. I mean, shout out to H2O for being an absolute wonderful troll during that engagement there. Like, that was amazing that he won. Or excuse
Wow,
me, that
he
didn't die.
is gonna get away. Joshua Scott was not able to find him.
I mean,
But
if we're
unfortunately,
taking a
this
look,
is definitely going to be the end of the game. 20's online for Xanthite, full shield immortal onto their core.
this is GG.
This is pretty much the end of the game.
100%. I mean, unless they can get a full team wipe here, which they know they have to do, Ruby that is. Oh, and here we have the crazy resets from Automatic Z on the Hanzo. A lot of damage coming out from Automatic Z. Onto Dane. H2O and Dane on the backline. He's trying to get something, but he unfortunately gets Stukov silenced, rooted, and stunned. The CC chain here is insane. Danelore. Ooh, some incredible micro from Danelore, but unfortunately not enough. Woohooey trying to run away from Joshua Scott. Chen here taking a bunch of damage in isolation on the top here, coming out onto Woohooey, but it's probably not going to be enough. Oh, and Chen. Do we see a Chen pushed all the way back to core? Oh, and he's just AFK. G. Wow. I mean, with all due respect to PRR, they looked like they had a little bit of a tough game, and PRX just out-executed. I mean, that was 5-15 there, Gingy.
Yeah, again, I don't really understand this comp. I don't think Chen is working well into their comp. They have way too much CC for him to be even considered to be on the main tank role here. And despite what's been said in chat, I still don't think Rexar is a good pick on this map. I think if they wanted to do something like this, an Imperius would have been a much stronger pick. Um, Getting those big spears, I think, would have been able to be a much better setup for them. I also don't think the Li Ming helped here because they don't have the setup to get the picks to get resets, as well as them having double heal with an Uther. I knew they were going to struggle from the start, and a Xanthite punished them.
100%. I completely agree. So, I mean, basically, Gingy, what you're saying is this is a draft loss, in so many words. It's primarily draft.
Yeah, could they have won with this? I think so. I think Barrow might have been able to do something more to get picks. The Cares emote was always hitting multiple people. Their team fights just were not going the way they probably had hoped. And the Xanthite, controlling the early game as well with their Dahaka Global from the off lane. Woohooey just not being able to do much with that, with him rotating out of the lane. I think Xanthite played it perfectly.
Well said, Gingy. Well said. Now, as we move towards the MVP section for Game 1, why don't I take PRR and you can take PRX, and I'll go first here. I'm going to have to give MVP of that game for the blue team to Chen. Chen getting, I mean, we all saw that troll move on the last Immortal as he wasted a bunch of their time and managed to not die. But I mean, the value he was getting out of those Earth, Wind, and Fire. I mean, if we look at his assists here, he had 3 assists, 2 kills. And while he did die 5 times, the value that he was able to get out of those ults, H2O, was just incredible. And clearly was comfortable on that hero, even given a difficult matchup in PRX's draft. What's your pick for MVP for the side of PRX?
I think I'm gonna have to give it to Joshua Scott on the Dahaka. The early game rotations were perfect. He got the wave advantage before rotating in. He flanked just like a Dahaka should. He got the tongue targets he needed. He ISO'd the kill targets and honestly did everything he needed to do.
he did do extraordinarily well. Joshua Scott, one of the better offlaners here in the Nexus Division. Catching up on chat here, the Lazy Hydra throwing a little bit of shade towards his own team. PRX winning on BOE. It does happen, ladies and gentlemen. It does happen. They did manage to take that game. All right, let's go ahead and go to our map view. We can see that PRX did take that game on Battlefield of Eternity. Let's see if we have a lobby up here. No lobby yet. We'll play a quick ad and be right back with the action. All right, for those of you just joining us, we have PRX versus PRR Nexus Division here. PRX just taking a game up on BOE with an extremely well-executed double healer, single target blow-up comp. PRX definitely has the momentum as they go into this next game. And the map pick here, Gingy, Tomb of the Spider Queen.
Who is this coming out from?
Let me ask, who picked? Let's see who picked this. Alfie and Alfie, God bless you. Thank you for the compliment. I see you hanging out there in chat. Okay, looks like we're on Tomb of the Spider Queen, picked by PRX. We'll update that here on the map screen. I'm just going to let them know the casters are ready. Now, tell me a little bit about Tomb of the Spider Queen here, Gingy. What's sort of the dominant way that people are playing this map?
There's really only one way that I see most of the time is the four-man rotation top and mid with your offlaner bottom. Um, the way I usually like to run this is taking a pick tank like Garrosh, Varian, Diablo. Stitches is also really good to catch people out on rotations from top to bot. Heavy wave clear is also needed as long as camp clear. Um, to keep ahead in the rotations. That's the name of this map is rotations, rotations, rotations on this one. If you start getting behind, you'll start losing out on gems. You'll lose out on XP really quickly, and it's a lot easier to pick off people that are scrambling to get the XP.
Let's talk about healers here. Now, you mentioned rotations, you mentioned wave clear. I'm a healer player, healer main only. I've never touched DPS a day in my life. What healers are usually going to be in contention here on this map?
Honestly, I don't think healers have much of a map preference. The top three healers are always going to be Brightwing, Stukov, Lucio. Although I think Anduin also might have some really good value on this map due to it being very oriented, and that leap of faith can really come in handy. Um, Another good one is Malfurion. He can place those roots in the bushes, really start help slowing rotations. Lucio again, also just slowing rotations, being in a nuisance, setting up picks and things like that.
Well described. You basically just went through the entire tier list of S tier and A tier healers. God
Like I
bless
said,
you, Gingy.
there's not much of a map preference for healers here.
What about
That's
bans?
just the top ones. Bans,
Didn't we see a immediate Tychus ban game one? And there it is
and there it
again.
is
And we
again.
saw a Hogger ban from PRX game one, right?
Yeah, I think that trend might continue unless they want to try and take it. I don't know. Hogger is definitely good here. He brings a lot of wave clear. He can clear the camps, and he's honestly just one of the best offlaners right now as well. Up in these higher divisions, there it is. It's mostly just about the meta heroes.
Thank you there, Alfie, letting me know that Gingy's just a smidge too loud for me. See if I can turn him down a little bit. Alfie, please do let me know if Gingy sounds better as I adjust these audio outputs. And we see a Nazebo ban. Now, I don't know what happened, Gingy, but I went on hiatus, and then I come back, and all of a sudden, Nazebo's first pick in every Stormly game. What?
So they buffed his spider build. I'm not sure all the details. All I know is spiders do a ton of damage now. Personally, I don't think Nazebo's good at the competitive level. Mostly because if you pay attention to the games, most games barely reach 20, and so that still is the huge cutoff for Nazebo. He's still a late game hero, and 20 being not as attainable in these higher levels of play, I don't think he's that scary. Now in Storm League, I definitely understand it because it's chaos.
Yeah, totally. You can run around, get those spiders on people. I mean, I remember I was playing a Stormly game last week and got destroyed by a Nazebo out of nowhere. Bringing us back to the game here, we have Leoric picked up by Wahui, first pick. And then we see a Hanzo and a Dahaka coming out. Now, this is the second time we've seen Joshua Scott pick up the Dahaka here. And, I mean, this so far looks kind of like the same draft coming out from PRX, because Hanzo was played by Automatic Z and Joshua played Dahaka. PRR here is known for their unconventional drafts. Let's hear what they come out with. Oh, and this is very intelligent here. They ban Tychus, first ban. They pick up Leoric, and then bam, they pick up the Deathwing. And I'm assuming, what, a Greymane ban here? What do you
Nah,
think?
I think it's probably gonna be the Malthael.
Really? Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Or Greymane too, actually. Yeah, although I have from the scouting I did, I have seen them run double bruiser on this map as well. So it's honestly either one. It's gonna be the Greymane or the Malthael.
Very interesting. Okay.
There it is.
And Alfie, I am turning Gingy down just a smidge more. Let me know if that sounds better. Greymane immediately picked here, and again, so far, PRX has had the exact same draft they had before, but Stukov is banned, so they are going to have to pivot here. What are we going to see from Hiva or Iron? Iron is traditionally the healer. Hiva is traditionally the tank, but he is kind of a flex player. What do they come out with? Kerosene. Weird.
Looks like it's gonna be Kerosene main healer. Maybe Uther's still coming out again.
I mean, that could work. It worked really well for them last time. They're kind of in a divey comp here.
Yeah, but an Uther main tank into Leo Deathwing is not going to be very effective.
Yeah, that's unfortunately true. And a Blaze Sylvanas. Now, I mean, so far, PRX has responded rather adequately to this Deathwing, but I have to give the drafting edge so far to Ruby. I mean, they have the insane wave clear with Leoric, Deathwing, Blaze, and Sylvanas. They have absolutely insane wave clear. And they have the counter to the stun single target blow up comp that PRX has kind of gravitated towards the first game and the second game, ETC coming out from Hiva. And Alfie in chat here noticing PRX with a negative wave clear on Tomb. Let's go.
Yeah, I'm going to give the advantage to Ruby on this one. I really don't agree with the ETC pick into Deathwing. And the Anduin, I don't think Mosh Pit's going to get much value here at all.
I mean, what should they have picked?
Honestly, I don't know what they could have picked. In terms of tanks, it's hard. That team is just really hard for a tank to go into. Maybe they could have gone with like a main tank Imperius to just do more damage to them.
Yeah, maybe another bruiser or something.
Yeah, maybe. It's a tough one.
Interesting. Well, do us the honors here, Gingy. Let us know who's playing for PRX.
Alrighty, we have Idioms on the Greymane, Hiva on ETC, Automatic Z on Hanzo, Iron on the Karazim, and Joshua Scott playing Dehaka.
For the blue team today, Frag playing Sylvanas Danelor on the Anduin. Hunter X going into the air there. And H2O playing Blaze. Last but not least, Wahooey piloting that dank Leoric skin on, what is that, a little sheep? Some goat animal? Either way,
Whatever it
Mr.
is, it's
Wahooey, I like
fabulous.
your, it's fabulous. I like your mount choice. You've always got to inspect the mounts of people. Wait, hold on. Are we seeing mount synergy from Iron and Idioms here? Is this mount synergy? That is mount synergy. Respect. Alright, getting into this first laning phase here. Let's, one of the things that Gingy had pointed out in the draft is to try to figure out who has the better wave clear. We need to watch and see who has the ability to clear these waves faster. And Gingy pointing out that the wave clear from PRR is just absolutely insane, but the execution from PRX has been honestly pretty damn good so far, as we see an engage coming out onto Idioms, but Iron doing his best to keep his buddy alive, and does manage to do so. But, you know, as we are, Seth, you gotta take the lines off. Oh, thank you. Appreciate you saying that. Pardon me while I do that. Cursor guides.
So
Excuse
far,
me here, I'm not used to
PRR
that.
is very ahead in rotations and XP.
I mean, let's take a look at the XP numbers right here. We have 3,510 XP for PRR, 3,479 so far.
Yeah, they did have to catch back up, so like I said, the rotations are falling behind on PRX very quickly here.
Yes, indeed. I mean, you can see PRX still clearing at the gate here, which does allow PRR to... Oh no, PRX actually snuck this bottom camp. I just assumed naturally that it was going to be Ruby, but Xanthite here coming out with the steal. Hiva trying to own these bushes.
Yeah, Ruby opting to go for the Bruiser camp first.
Interesting, yeah. Don't you normally save that for when you're ready to turn in? Both teams actually picking up the Bruiser camp here.
Actually, you want to get them as quickly as possible. They ended up getting the Siege camp and the Bruiser, so Xanthite ahead on the camps. But you can push these in, try and put an engagement of some kind with the camps.
Did you see that stun there mid lane?
Yeah.
That was beautiful. I mean, the CC advantage is definitely in favor of Ruby this game. I mean, you said it in oh, I'm almost getting engaged on there. You said it in the draft screen. I mean, Ruby just has such a big advantage in the draft, but you know, Xanthite not down and out for the count. They do have the ability to out execute still. Iron does get rooted there, and lots of damage coming out. I mean, it's really difficult for Xanthite to even stay alive. They just can't deal with this poke damage here, Gingy.
Yeah, Karazim not going to be able to sustain them through this damage. It's going to be really hard for them to keep the rotations up if they keep taking damage like this.
I think PRX is going to have to play scared until 10. I mean, maybe at level 10 they'll be able to get the Cursed Bullet or something to help them out. But, I mean, what can PRX do in this circumstance to help shift the balance of power more towards their favor? Because right now the draft is looking a little rough.
They can try and get the first turn in. First turn in is pretty big if you're able to get value out of it.
And we do see, on the topic of first something, we have the first fort push here on the top right fort as Ruby feeling kind of valiant and perhaps a little bold, yeah. Oh, and we do see a fly-in here coming in from Hunter X. Oh, and a big engage coming out onto Xanthite, and two of them kind of stuck here in top on that top boss area, and we are going to see Iron and Idioms going down. Automatic Z taking kind of a risky B.
Oh no, he didn't leave.
You gotta laugh at it. And we see a pause. Oh, Joshua Scott left the game. That was kind of a sketchy fight there from Xanthite, Gingy.
Yeah, They chased way too far into them, and Deathwing with a great turnaround, really forcing them into a bad situation. And the rest of the team following up great. Wahui rotating out from bottom as well to really secure that team fight.
Alfie in chat here saying inted so hard Joshua Scott DC'd. A little bit of friendly banter coming out from Alfie. He's a real good friend of both teams. Love it. Yeah, that was definitely a risky B there. And you know, we're seeing exactly what you said, Gingy. PRR just dominating not only the macro but the micro. This draft just really displaying their big brain, their 5,000 IQ. Joshua Scott here in the bottom lane, trying to soak up what XP he can. If we're looking at the XP, 18,000 on the side of PRR to 16,000. Let's take a look at APM. Let's see what Idiom's APM is here. Where's Idiom's? Idiom's is playing Greymane and his APM at 60. We've got a calm player here, ladies and gentlemen, going down to 0 APM. For those that are familiar with idioms, you know that I'm just trolling them a little bit. All right. Looks like we have a turn in here. First turn in, first fort. Man, it's not looking good for Xanthai as we approach the mid game here.
Yeah, they have to play this very passively, just accept the losses they have to take and not do anything too risky.
Can we just appreciate the APM of Hiva and Danelore here? Average APM at 316. Oh, and a big engage here as Hunter X is going in. There's a root coming out onto the Greymane. Iron is going to maybe die? Oh, Iron had literally like 20 HP. That was crazy. I mean, this Deathwing that was picked in that 2-3 is it's just bananas. Hunter X doing an incredible job getting insane value. And they still have the Web Weaver pushing into that middle lane. Hiva, Iron, and Idioms doing what they can here to try to mount some type of defense, but I mean, GG, they don't even have level 10s.
Nope. And 10's coming online now for Ruby, who's pretty much a full level ahead, almost getting 2.
And there's a stun coming out with the light bomb. 2 stuns coming out onto PRX, but the bunker is able to save a few of the members of PRR. And look at those health pools of Xanthai. It's just really difficult. I mean, Iron is an incredible player. Definitely a competent Kerosene player, but I mean, he can only heal. What's the cooldown of his W? How do I find out? I gotta press.
I can get it for you. It's 10 seconds.
Yeah, it's 10 seconds. So, and he can heal for 422 damage. Give a little bit of movement speed. Yeah, I mean, that's something. Really a big fan of this Desperate Prayer on level 7 from Danelore. One of the best healers in Nexus Division. Very nice guy as well. We see a camp here pushing into the mid lane, and Xanthai does have the gems to turn in, and maybe their strategy here is to try to secure as many of these camps and get as much pressure on the map to maybe alleviate themselves from the burden of macro and sneak in that juicy, delicious turn in. But I mean, Ruby's just controlling these points, Gingy. They're bullying them off here. I mean, they have vision of the top one just with the Deathwing. He's literally AFK here just watching. Yep, and there's the stun. Zoning out here, trying to do what they can to secure time to turn in. Cursed Bullet coming out. Did that hit? Did you see that Cursed Bullet?
It did not hit.
Blaze getting booped out of his stun. Incredible micro there from Hiva. Danelore trying to position as Hunter X does fly in on the Deathwing. You got this, PRX, Aura's above says, throwing a little bit of love out to the green team. Mosh Pit still being picked up here. That's interesting. I guess, you know, it's still that good.
I mean, yeah, Stage Dive isn't going to get much more value here.
Web Weavers for PRX coming out. This is their chance to make something of this. Looks like they were maybe thinking about going on Wahui. Did not get the kill there. All right, PRX, this is your chance. Try to get one of these forts, at least a gate. We've got to get something during this game here. And there's another Dragon Strike. Oh, and almost killing the Blaze there, but the bunker. Oh, and he comes out into a mosh, into an entomb. Lots of ultimates coming out here, but Blaze ultimately does go down. PRX is showing their prowess, their ability to out-micro. I mean, they certainly have had their work cut out for them in this game. They've had to, ooh, Iron diving in there, almost dying, but managing to stay alive. Yeah, PRX had to fight this game with one hand tied behind their back, but they're doing an exquisite job of out-executing in the mid-game, catching up almost entirely in XP. Beautiful job, PRX, beautiful job. I mean, look, they got the bottom fort. Their Webweaver is still alive and well. And there's a Cursed Bullet onto Wahooey. Lots of damage coming out. Let's take a look at the damage numbers. Anything standing out to you there, Gingy?
No, not really. Deathwing doing quite a bit of damage for the side of PRR though.
Yeah, almost the same amount as Sylvanas actually. He is kind of that. He does kind of fill that mage spot, as we know. Alfie in chat saying, I'm amazed PRX is ahead on XP. Ruby ain't soaking properly. Well, let's take a look at the soaking numbers, Alfie. Let's see if you support that. Wow, it's actually true. I mean, look, they have 42,000 to 43,000 as we see a back-to-back turn-in for PRX here. Interesting. I mean, the early game was absolutely dominated by Ruby, but the mid game here, a back-to-back turn-in definitely has the ability to change the tide of battle here, Gingy.
Yeah, two poorly executed team fights on the side of Ruby, and they're behind in this game now.
And Beast being kept up by Idioms. Maybe not. Not a Grey Mane player, so it's kind of hard to tell sometimes. I think he does have it. But they do get 2 keeps out of this. Dahaka still pushing that bottom lane. Does intelligently get out of there, or maybe deciding to stick around. Maybe they don't have vision on, or maybe they do have vision rather, knowing that PRR is staying in that top lane, allowing Joshua Scott to stay there just a little bit longer. H2O checking that bush with a charge, possibly thinking that Xanthite might get greedy. One thing that Xanthite is very good at, though, is vision. They're an extremely good team at controlling vision. I mean, you can see right there, Iron stepping up into that bush. And now that we have a couple forts down, I might have to give the advantage to PRX. I've played against PRX many seasons in Division A, Division B, and once there's a lot of bushes, once there's no fort to run back to, it can get a little scary. Picking up this camp here, Idioms and Iron. Posturing around this turn-in, desperately trying to not let PRX turn in. Ooh, and we see an Entomb coming out onto Hiva, trying to do the dirty bathtub. Ooh, lots of damage coming out. There's a bunker. And we're going to see a fly-in here from Deathwing. Iron getting really low, down to 200 health. But Joshua Scott going ham on the backline, getting an isolation and a drag. But it's not enough. No kills coming out so far. Iron doing an incredible job with that level 16 cleanse, keeping Joshua Scott alive. There it is, cleansing touch, level 16. And Alfie in chat saying to look at the minion soak. Well, let's take a look at the minion soak as Ruby gets this turn in. Alright, so minion soak, we see 26,000 from the side of Ruby to 28,000. This is interesting. Alfie here making a very good point.
If you were to take a look at the stats really quick, you can actually see that it's mostly Joshua Scott keeping way ahead in soak on Wahooey here.
Wow, that's true. Joshua Scott here, one of the best offlaners in the division, doing a great job at carrying at least the XP for the side of Xanthite. Now we do have this Webweaver starting to push here onto this middle keep. Stun coming out from Hunter, and we do see the debilitating arrows onto that fort. Automatic Z doing what he can to try to push them off, and we see a 3-man mosh, but Deathwing steps in there, fears them all, and says, absolutely not, no moshes on my team, good sir. Idiom's taking a little bit of damage here from that Webweaver, and now this is the point where they need to get a pick. Both teams here trying to posture. The Entomb comes out, but Joshua Scott's able to just slip on out of that. Oh, and the pull, able to save frag. Danalore, great job. First pull of the game that I've seen at least, and an incredible one. Very well played. Good time to back off. Dane, very low on mana, but doing what he can to keep his team alive. And we do see a pause coming out from H2O. Bad ping. Looks like a little bit of lag for the side of Ruby. And we see a web weaver still here in the bottom lane. I mean, as we approach the late game here, Gingy, is there a particular team you think is favored? I mean, does the equation tip in PRX's favor as they approach level 20?
20s, I still think it's gonna be going over to Ruby, right? The Auric gets Silence and Tomb, which is gonna be massive. Sylvanas can get that huge mind control cooldown reduction. Definitely getting more damage from the Cataclysm. Um, and then Anduin has now finally reached level 16 as well, where he gets inner focus, so he's just pumping out that much more healing.
I think you hit the nail on the head here. That level 20 Entomb probably being the most exciting of the level 20s. Anduin having a much more exciting level 20 talent tier as well. The Sylvanas mind control every 15 seconds or whatever it is. I mean, PRX
Yeah.
does have just rock solid team play though. I've hung out in their comms a couple times. I've watched them scrim. I've played against them. Do not count them down and out. They are still a very strong team. But this draft from Ruby, just the big brain, really allowing them to dominate probably, the early and sort of late game on Tomb of the
Yeah,
Spider Queen?
this is going to be heavy execution on the side of PRX. If the team fight doesn't go their way, the draft might just carry PRR through the rest of it.
What do they call that? The burden of execution?
Yeah, burden of execution is definitely on the side of PRX here, especially since they now have one keep down. And I think, are they losing in the race to 20? I can't see.
Let's see. Currently, we have 59,000 XP for Ruby to 57,000 for Xanthite.
Oh yeah, it sounds like Ruby is now back in the lead in terms of XP. Yeah, I think if the Xanthite just has to play really patiently and not get caught out by Entombs.
Let's head back to the map screen here as the players resolve this pause. Looks like one of the players for Ruby having a pretty serious ping issue, ping up to 240. Doing what they can to try to resolve that, have a smooth gameplay experience. We do see that Ruby is ready. We'll go back to the game if Xanthite confirms they're ready as well. All right. And they are both ready, jumping back into the game here. I cannot talk to them because I am an observer. Yes. They cannot type. Thank you, idioms, but I am ready. Maybe I'll message them on Discord? Nah, they're fine. They've got it. This ain't their first rodeo.
We should just stay ready at all times. You know?
Yep, that is our job
we're
as
here
casters.
Yeah.
PRX quickly dispatching this bottom web weaver, and they have 60 gems ready to turn in with 27 already deposited. Camp here being picked up for PRR. Is this called the Bruiser camp? Yeah, that's the Bruiser.
Yes.
Bottom camp here, the siege is ready to be taken. Hunter X depositing 5 gems into that top turn-in. And looks like PRX is not interested in team fighting. They've split 1-3-1, trying to just catch the gems, trying to race to level 20. But I mean, I don't know if they really want to race to level 20. I mean, if they can get it before Ruby, absolutely. And then Tomb coming out onto Hiva. And the dirty bathtub takes effect. I mean, absolutely deleted there. Well, Hui getting thirsty, trying to chase for another kill. Hunter X deleting this wave. That Entomb, level 20. on ETC. He just has no recourse. There's not much he can do, honestly.
It wasn't even level 20. They just had the follow-up CC on it.
What was the follow-up CC exactly? What was the chain that you
They
saw?
had roots from Anduin and then mind control from the Sylvanas.
It was beautiful. Oh, red, they do sneak in a red web weaver, but they are going to know, this is heavily telegraphed, that Ruby is going to be stealing this boss. I mean, I don't know if Xanthite's going to get anything out of this because they're going to have to clear the boss. I mean, that's on a keep. Maybe Joshua Scott can push with it. What do you think the call is, Gingy?
I think PRX is fine here. Getting this objective is actually very good for them because it helps de-push this boss a little bit, right?
Yeah.
And then bottom lane is still a huge problem for PRR, and if they don't go back and respond to this, which looks like they are, they pretty much just cancel out this boss take with their turn in.
That's actually very strategic, and it's not like they wasted a lot of gems because, if you remember, they already had turned in 27, and I think they have, what, roughly 30 or 40 still remaining. Wahui here in the bottom lane, clearing out this web weaver, getting the keep to about half health. Rest of Ruby here, positioning on the bottom lane, getting a little bit of damage onto this tower. There's a dragon arrow, trying to get something. Does not connect. Maybe just use for vision in the late game? Is there a cooldown reduction at level 20? Oh, they haven't even gotten level 20. We do see level 20s coming out for Ruby, and just now picking them up for Xanthite. Ooh, and some CC coming out onto Hiva.
Great route to stop them from being able to interrupt the turn in.
Exactly. Ooh, and it does not connect there, the Entomb. The light bomb coming out doesn't connect either. Wahui taking a ton of damage. There's a Dragonfly coming in. Hiva getting CC does go down. Oh, Idiom's there, able to get a counter kill, but they're so low. Iron doing what he can, spreading that shield around, but Hunter X getting some beautiful damage out with that Flame Breath. Does manage to take another down. Fear on the Idioms, a health ping coming out, trying to perhaps kill him. Automatic Z on the mount, trying to get away. Looks like Idioms and Automatic Z are going to get away. Oh no, oh Z, you've got this, you've got it. Okay, he's dead, but a valiant attempt was made. In this top lane here, doing what they can to push back this blue webweaver phase. I mean, that was 3 kills to 3 kills. This still has to favor Ruby, though. I mean, if they push here...
Yeah. One of the deaths was also Leoric, who is already back now.
That's true.
Ready to go.
There he is right there. I mean, he might actually... He has Entomb up in about 50 seconds.
He just missed it, actually.
Oh, really? Oh, I did not see that. I'm glad you caught that. Trying to get this keep. I mean, they might push for end here. I don't know. I mean, they have a lot of minions. They're fishing.
They don't have Blaze. Yeah, they're looking for something, but I think it's dangerous. They should leave right now.
Yeah, I mean, there's a slide onto a Hui, a mind control onto ECT into a Flame Breath, but Iron cleanses it. Very nice job. Idioms, he's at, what, 600 health and playing very aggressively, knowing that he can trust his healer. Unstoppable and a shield coming out. PRX playing very thirsty, seeing if they can pick something up. Automatic Z back alive. He has his arrow. Dahaka has his isolation. Idioms, thinking better of it, decides to return home, get healthy, and position for what is going to be the late game here on Tomb of the Spider Queen. PRR picking up the camp on the left here, getting their bruisers. PRR does not have the bruisers for another minute 30, and will have the burden of clearing this in the mid lane. Doing a good job of trying to control this vision. They know that Leoric probably has an Entomb up, and Hiva needs to be extremely careful of checking bushes. I mean, one could argue that Hiva at this point shouldn't be checking bushes.
Yeah, they should really be using the effectiveness of long poke from the arrows to be able to check vision, right? They have the Sonic Arrow, you have all the scatter arrows to check vision as well.
71 gems here for PRR. Automatic Z is doing exactly what Gingy suggested, using his ranged abilities, trying to check those bushes. A danger ping coming out on that bottom left bush. Maybe we'll see a Sonic Arrow from Z coming out here. Yep, doing exactly as that ping suggested, checking it. And Wahui constantly kind of posturing here, seeing if he's able to steal possibly a Entomb. Another ult there coming out from Automatic Z, pushing Ruby off of the keep, out of their core, and telling them, hey, you got to do something else here. We're not going to give you an Entomb. We're not going to give you a fight. We're just going to poke you down. And, you know, if it comes down to a poking war, I mean, that's something that PRX can do somewhat well with the Hanzo, but they have to be very careful not to take the damage in return. I mean, Kerzim not known for his abundance of healing. PRX really needs to turn in here. Moving more towards the bottom side of the map here, they are able to pick up a siege camp. Oh, but a fight here trying to break out. Wahui in his Wraith form, fishing, does not get it. Oh, and we see a big engage here coming out. There's a light bomb. There's a Deathwing fly in. And this is a fight here, ladies and gentlemen. And we see an isolation there on the backline Sylvanas. There's a Dragon Arrow and a Mosh Pit does come out, lands onto one, but it is immediately interrupted. H2O taking a lot of damage. We see Idioms on the Greymane, does go down, followed by Iron trying to finish off H2O. Joshua Scott not far behind. Haiva at 500 health. Does he have a slide to get out? He does, but he does still go down. Automatic Z, it's all up to you. Can he get a kill to take... Ooh, take the momentum back? It looks like not. This is probably GG. I mean, 4v1. Okay, yeah,
that's
GG.
gonna be the game.
Ruby here pulling it out with an insane draft in game 2. Absolutely beautiful work. Cool, we get to play until midnight, says Idioms. Very nice job. And I mean, Dahaka at the end of the game having 21,000 XP. Beautiful work. Fat draft loss for PRX is what chat is saying. And
Yeah,
I may
it was
have
really
to agree.
hard for them to deal with what they had. They went with a kind of another pick comp, but Blaze, Leo, Deathwing are some of the hardest tanks to pick off, right? You have the Bunker, you have Leoric E, and Deathwing literally just never being able to be CC'd.
Exactly. I mean, they were fighting from the back foot, but you know, that's not to disrespect PRX. They came out with some incredible execution, and I mean, for a minute there in the mid game, it looked like they might steal back the game. What did they get out of that? Like they got a keep, they got, I think, all 3 forts and several of the camps, but ultimately the burden of execution being just a little bit too much for PRX. Why don't you go ahead and pick an MVP for Ruby, and while I update the maps here.
I think it's a hard one, but I think I'm gonna have to give it to Wahui. He had a hard time keeping up in the soak, but coming in and dropping the Entombs gave a lot more presence than the Dahaka did, right? The Dahaka was able to out-soak him, but he was able to keep up mostly and come to every single team fight to drop an Entomb. Whether it landed or not, still forced an engagement to happen, and they were able to come out on top in most of those team fights.
Those Entombs were insane, Gingy. 100% MVP for the blue team, going to Wahui. I'm going to have to give it to, well, I mean, this is kind of obvious, Joshua Scott. I mean, he played Dahaka game 1, played out of his mind, and in game 2, he landed several tongues, he landed several isolations, but really it's this number right here, ladies and gentlemen, 21,000 XP contributed. I mean, Alfie had pointed this out in chat, that PRR wasn't actually winning in soak, and we started to investigate this more during the game, Gingy, and we had found that pretty much Dahaka, played by Joshua Scott, was almost single-handedly carrying the XP contribution for the team. Idiom's not too far behind there, doing a lot of work, but you know, shout out to Joshua Scott for contributing so much there. Very, very well played for both teams, and we have a tight set here. Mr. Gingy Boy. We have a tight set.
We're going to a game 3.
Yeah. Yes, we are. All right, chat. We are going to take a quick break, play a short ad, and we will be back in just a few minutes. Don't go anywhere. All right. Jumping back to the map screen here. PRR versus PRX. How you doing so far, Gingy? This is your first cast, right? How you like it so far?
Yep. You know, it's not as bad as I thought it would be. I was a little nervous going into it, thinking I'd kind of shell up, but it's actually been pretty easy to talk about what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, we're basically just sort of having a conversation about the game at a certain point, and uh, if you like the game, it's kind of easy to talk about. It's kind of like talking about yourself. That's something that everyone can do.
Yeah.
Uh, Infernal Shrines. Um, and who picked Infernal Shrines? Well, it would be. Let me send a message here and figure out who picked what. If I had to guess, if I had to guess, I would say PRX picked Infernal. They were in my division last season, and their best map was Infernal. Oh, interesting. PRR picked Infernal. Interesting. Interesting. Okay, players here settling into the lobby. Infernal Shrines, probably everyone's favorite map, right, Gingy? I mean, who doesn't love Infernal?
Yeah, no, can't think of anyone that doesn't like this map. It's a very well-rounded map. It's got plenty of camps, plenty of different strategies you can approach the objective, plenty of different comp styles you can run as well.
It's because of John Cena. That's
Good
the
old
real
John
reason.
Cena.
Maybe it's just
Uh,
because everyone gets to play Triple Bruiser. I don't know.
Maybe.
There's a lot of different reasons why people could love this map. I love this map. Um, and I think it's because I think about one of my favorite games I've ever played in NGS, and it was on this map actually against PRX. I remember I was on the top immortal, and I was playing Lucio, and three of my team members had died. Versus, I know Alfie, I was actually thinking about playing John Cena, but then I realized that I've had a lot of issues with sound and that I would probably blow up your ears. So the lack of John Cena soundboard is out of respect for your ears, Mr. Alfie. Anyway, I'm on top on the shrine as Lucio, and the fight was so intense that I remember a feeling of needles, like pins and needles, in my fingers. I was so in the zone during that fight. I remember it was me and Sonar. He was on, I think, Leoric, and just the two of us managed to kill two of PRX's, bringing it to a 2-2. But ultimately, Leoric went down, and I was forced to jump off of that point. But a very memorable game, and probably one of the highlights of my season. Super fun. All right, let's let them know that the casters are ready. Casters ready. And first pick is going to be for PRX. One of the players for Ruby here taking a quick bio break. We'll get into the action here momentarily. Chat, how are you doing tonight? How's your night going? Seeing a few members of Phoenix Rising in chat here showing their support for the teams. TM's in chat, Alfie in chat, Aura's above, rooting for PRX. And looks like both teams are ready. Just about to be jumping into chat, or excuse me, into the game. As chat says, they've been chilling. Missed game one because of a nap. Dude, I am such a big fan of naps, Alfie. Are you a nap man, Gingy?
I Recently I have been a nap man, yeah.
I love
Manual
naps.
labor has really made me love naps a lot more.
I know, like I know some people that won't take naps because of They say it's a waste of time in their day, but I still love them. Hogger ban, no hesitation, has been all 3 games first ban Hogger, and the exact same thing here, first ban Tychus. I mean, Infernal Shrines is the Hogger map, it is the Tychus map, so, you know, no surprise. Oh, switch to draft screen. Thank you, Alfie. Fortunately, we did not miss much. We have a Mephisto here. Yeah, these are the same bands that we've seen all 3 games, except this time they sort of make sense. Second ban here, Nazebo. Kind of a weird one, but I guess, you know, his ultimate is very good on the shrine. Both of them, probably. And a Stukov here picked up by Iron. Okay. We have a 1-2 coming out for Ruby. What's good on this map, Gingy? Anub is really good. Blaze, Leoric,
Leoric's really good.
Sonya.
A lot of zone controlling. There's the Leoric again. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Ruby tried to go with a similar draft as last game.
Yeah, I mean, that worked extremely well for them. Like the Deathwing, there's kind of a lot of similarities between Tomb and Infernal when you think about it. We have a 2-3 here for PRX. Alfie in chat saying PRX wins draft. Stukov, OP. Maybe so. Maybe so. And then a Falstad. What? The Diva makes sense. The Diva makes sense, but Falstad?
Falstad has a lot of disengage with the Gust, and the globals are always really good on big maps like this.
The Lazy Hydra saying, Falstad best hero, don't at me. I will not at you, sir. I will not at you after that. Now I know. Do not at the man. Oh, Inafox added him. Oh, Lord.
Oh,
A
no.
fight breaking out in chat here. Bans for both teams. We have a Malthael on the side of Ruby and the Deathwing. Very, very good ban here on the side of PRX. The Deathwing getting crazy value last game. Diablo here coming out for H2O, or water, as Inafox calls him. And Junkrat here, one of my favorite heroes. I love playing with the Junkrat. He is so fun. I really like the draft so far for Ruby. But we have a 4-5 here coming out for PRX. Ooh, Alfie adding the Lazy Hydra in chat too. This is getting out of hand. And a Joanna and a Rainer. This is interesting. What do you make of PRX's draft?
I'm not sure. I think they're probably going with a lot of zone control with probably Hyperion in mind, Diva Bomb, Gust, Stukov, Silence, right? But PRR also having a ton of zone control with Junkrat and Leo in there.
Makes sense. Now, one thing we are seeing here that's really interesting. I do know both of these teams pretty well, and one thing I do know is Danelore is known for his white mane. That is the hero that Dane plays. Very strong on that hero, and this is not a bad map for white mane. Not a bad comp either for him to go into. So we are going to be for a treat seeing Dane on his main. And that rhymed. I did not mean for that to rhyme. Gingy, would you introduce Ruby for me?
Yes, sir. We have Hiva on the Johanna. We have Automatic Z playing the Rainer. Iron again on that Stukov. Idioms playing Falstad. And Joshua Scott now on the Diva.
And for our left team for Ruby, Diablo, played by H2R Danelore on his main. Frag on the Vala. Hunter X piloting the Junk Boy. Oh wow, and that is a rather large taunt. I love it. And then Wahui on the Leoric. Let's look at the mounts here. We have the Poverty mount, but the big taunt from Hunter X. Automatic Z, beautiful mount synergy. Ooh, I really like this mount for Iron, actually. Now let's zoom out here a little bit. Frag taking a little bit of damage, but Haiva is owning that bush. And who do you think is going to have the better wave clear here, as well as the better rotations from mid and bottom, Gingy?
I think I'm gonna give the edge to PRR. They have Junkrat and Vala, two very good wave clear assassins versus the Rainer and the Falstad, who are lacking only just a little bit. But they also have that Johanna to help make up, so they're fairly close in the wave clear battle.
And would you say that that extends to an overall draft win for Ruby as well?
I don't know. I think I favor Ruby's a little bit more just because I do like Junkrat and Vala a little more than I like Falstad Rainer. I think the teamfight potential of Ruby is a little stronger this game.
And they definitely have some non-bows on the side of PRX, and what I mean by that is it's definitely possible for a bomb to go off, for a whole bunch of people to be inside of it, and then for a gust to come out to blow the entire thing away. Bloody Drapes in chat saying you just put 20 bucks down on Phoenix Rising. Well, you're going to walk out of here a rich man, Mr. Drapes. A rich man indeed. A little bit of engage here onto Idioms in the mid lane. Oh, and Danalore getting that slow, allowing Hunter X to finish him off. Very nice kill. Very nice early game catch. Going to allow Ruby the chance to possibly get in a slight advantage before this shrine. But I mean, if we look at the XP here, XP total, yeah, I mean, Xanthite is in the lead. Anything peculiar standing out on talents here for you, Gingy?
You have an auto attack build from Vala. Tricky shuffles on level 1 for Junkrat is also a little odd. Other than that, it looks fairly standard.
One thing I am qualified to speak on here, for anyone that knows me, is Stukov. Reactive Ballista Spores into Biotic Armor totally makes sense, especially given the AA build of Vala. Neither team opting to get their camp. Oh, look at this. PRX has already done their camp, and Z here, look at this discipline from PRX, waiting until just that perfect moment to cap it. Gets that globe and then heads down here. This is some really beautiful macro play from PRX, giving them a little bit of an advantage as they go into this fight. And Joshua Scott does have bomb, and Haiva doing a good job at just soaking up some damage, being a little bit of a distraction. 8 minions already for the side of Xanthite. And as I said before, we have a full Diva bomb. I mean, this objective is looking very in favor of Xanthite, as they are also 4v5. And recognizing this, Ruby says, "Nope, we're not interested. We don't even want to try to fight this. Maybe we'll try to poke a little bit, but honestly, like, our goal number 1 has to be soak." Yeah, I mean, Xanthite clearly is going to get this, and Ruby concedes, steps away. Chat here, Alfie, one of our resident DPS players, saying, "Oh, hold on here. Are we going to have a fight breaking out? Joshua Scott possibly going to lose his mech form." Oh, and a stun coming out onto Haiva, getting a little bit manhandled, but we have John Cena jumping onto Danalore, and the teams are split. No kills? Ooh, maybe not. Woohooey does go down. And so not only do we have level 7s, not only do we have a 1 shrine and that 4v5 that was made, but the front gate is already down for the side of Ruby. Stukov silence coming out. Haiva taking a lot of damage here. And like I said before, player to watch this game is going to be Danalore. Keep an eye on him, on his white main, especially post level 10 on that objective. I expect Dane to work some wonders. Some great macro play there from Xanthite. H2O posturing a little bit. Just scouting, making sure they're able to secure this bottom camp with no problems. Growing infestation for the Stukov. H2O, Mr. Water, doing what he can to try to harass, but he does get silenced. Whitemane making sure to keep his tank alive. But definitely Whitemane Gingy not known for her sustain healing.
No, not the best sustained healer outside of combat, at least.
Correct. Exterminator here. Everything looking pretty standard. Leoric does manage to jump out of there. Let's take a look at the XP numbers. What do you think Joshua Scott's XP contribution is going to be? It's 5,000. Oh, look at this Wahooey here, beating him by about 200 on the XP contribution.
He's keeping slightly ahead in the double soak.
Let's look at APM here. APM of 0 right now for Falstad. How is that possible? How is that possible? He's literally moving. Is this a bug? Has Idioms bugged the game with the 0 APM? Okay, there it goes. Maybe it doesn't count clicks. Engage here. Xanthite doing a little bit of an invade, trying to be a little bit cheeky. Oh, did you see that in Tomb? Did you see
No,
that
I
in
did
Tomb?
not.
Yeah, they. I think Wahooey might have misclicked. I'm not 100% sure. It looked like he had entombed right here near the bush.
I think he just happened to miss it. Actually, I looked back on the stream and he was going for automatic Z and just barely missed.
The Lazy Hydra revealing the method to Idiom's madness. Maybe he holds right click while moving, lol.
Or maybe he shift clicks and then just lets it ride out.
Maybe he does. I mean, he's got some technique here. The APM of Joshua Scott absolutely hammed this game, 315. And Danalor showing the prowess on his main character, 227. Let's take a look at the healing numbers. Whitemane at 16,000, while Stukov's at 11,000. I mean, Stukov is the healer. He pops his pustule, gets that fat goop. I was still on draft overlay. Thank you for letting me know about that, Hydra. I appreciate that. But these healing numbers from Dane are very impressive, actually. And one thing that Dane does do that is a little bit controversial is he goes Divine Reckoning. As everyone knows, I am a healer, so I can't help but pay attention to the healers during these games. Little bit of...
Divine Reckoning is actually the meta choice.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Fight breaking out here. We have that minus 35 heal and a fat silence coming out. There's that Diva Bomb coming out from Joshua Scott. Does disengage. H2O taking a lot of damage, but Vala trying to push people back. Wahooey getting a Entomb off, but it does not connect, and he does go down. Haiva jumping back with his ultimate back into the fight, getting those 20, 22, now 23 minions. Ooh, and Haiva popping his shield just at the right time. Joshua Scott does break the mech, but Iron's there, ready to slap the enemy team away. Wahooey is back up already. This is a tight fight here, ladies and gentlemen. Iron going down 33 to 34 on the minion count. Haiva's about to go down. I mean, can PRX take this back? This is now a 3v. Ooh, they do not. It is a 3v5. Automatic Z being chased after here. Frag getting thirsty for that kill, but does not connect. Good Gust was so close, says Aras. PRX just too slow to get there, says Mr. Lazy Hydra, and that is true. Pushing here on this mid fort. John Cena going to work on this well. Starting to attack the tower is Vala. Let's take a look at these siege numbers. Wow, siege very good for Diva. Let's look at Vala. See her siege numbers, 37,000. Okay. Does bait the jump out. Does Joanna. And Ruby recognizing, hey, we don't need to push with this anymore. They decide to steal this, what is this camp called? I don't even know. This camp. From
Siege camp.
Siege camp. Okay. I thought Goat Camp.
Kaiser
Spear?
camp is the actual
Okay,
name,
thank
I
you.
believe.
I'm not a Diablo 3 player, so I'm a noob at that. This is giving a rather large macro advantage to Ruby. Joshua Scott here being a little cheeky, trying to steal that camp out from underneath the noses of Ruby, but he's scouted, and that plan is no longer successful. Idiom's in the top lane here, getting that sweet, sweet XP. You know, in the interview process, Gingy, if PRX wins, we have to ask him about this APM. We have to know the
I'll
secret.
remind you.
Thank you. Ruby here. Ooh, Stukov engaged there, but Diablo immediately saying, nope, we want no part of it. Stukov boop, or excuse me, a Junkrat boop, and an ult coming out. Huge flame breath, getting lots of damage on, but Iron still confident. Oh, and the gust pushing them back into the team, followed by a great slow from Hiva. Iron trying to slap away, but does get taken down by the Junkrat ultimate. Idiom's at 40 health, gets a sip. Here's an Entomb on to Hiva. This is a 4v5 from PRX, and they're super low. They have to back up, or at least it was a 3v4, excuse me. They had two members just off screen here that are now catching up. Here's Diablo. Now it's a 5v3. I mean, PRX has to back up. They are being way too greedy here in an effort to try to make something happen. Now they're playing a little bit more slowly, allowing themselves to get that poke damage on the side of Ruby while trying to defend this fort. Raynor here in the mid lane, getting that XP. XP about dead even here, Jinji. Any predictions on late game power spikes for these two teams?
Late game power spikes. Well, Vala has some pretty deadly potential at level 16, as well as Junkrat. Other than that, there's not a whole lot I can think of.
Yeah, Val is really the person to look out for in this late game. Dane's done a pretty good job so far keeping the team alive, let's keep an eye on those heal numbers. Let's see, where's the heal tab? There it is. Dane at 39,000 and Stukov at 29,000. Oh, and here's a fat Entomb, but look at this Divine Reckoning out right there, getting 3 members in it, and the team for Ruby fully healed up, Frag alive and well. Woohooey taking a little bit of damage here in the bottom. Interesting, we had an even ult exchange, or 3 ults, 3 ults for both teams. Who is the macro advantage as this objective comes up? I think Ruby does.
Ruby does, but you also have to realize that Ruby's fort is gone. It's pretty much gone, whereas Xanthite's is still pretty much fully intact, and so they have a retreat point, whereas Ruby does not.
That's a great point there, Jinji. They have the well. They can back up to it at any time, take a sip, back off. And they also have 23 minions, 3? Oh, there's a root coming out. Level 16 root from Danalore. Danalore has his ultimate in 13 seconds. Does D.Va have the bomb? No bomb for D.Va. Lots of disruption coming out from Ruby. This is an intense fight. This may determine who's going to win the late game as a massive Entomb comes out. And look at this healing from Danalore. Look at that. Healing his team up. And we had a great root there from Iron to counter the Entomb. Great root. Beautiful job. Getting manhandled by Diablo. Getting pushed around. And we see a 3-man slow silence. Perhaps it was a reactive proc from Iron. It was indeed. There's that healing. Iron doing a really good job at zoning off the enemies and trying to keep his team alive. Ooh, and Joshua Scott barely eking out there. And look at that! Look at that root! Look at that root from Iron, dear lord! That was incredible. Iron is looking very strong, Jinji, on that Stukov.
Yeah, big turnaround from Xanthite there to be able to get 2 kills right as this starts to push, pretty much negating all value from it.
100%. I'm very impressed with the healers for both of these teams. Obviously, I tend to bias my casts a little bit more towards the healers, but those roots from Iron are really coming through. Excellent job. One thing about Leoric's Entomb as a Stukov player that I know is that when the Entomb comes out, everyone sort of funnels like bowling pins up at the start of the Entomb, at sort of the mouth of it, if you will, Jinji. And what I'll do as a Stukov player is I'll just get reactive on him, or I'll throw a weighted pustule on him, throw the silence on him, and it's almost a guaranteed free route. Hiva scouting out Ruby from that bush, picking up the camp here. PRR in the lead so far in terms of structures, but Ruby in the lead insofar as soaking. We'll see who gets the upper hand as we go into this late game. H2O doing a really good job at playing off of the Junkrat traps. I believe, you know, excuse me, I meant to say Hiva. Hiva doing a really good job playing off those Junkrat traps. I've noticed Hiva has... Do you remember in that mid-game fight there, Gingy, when the Junkrat had used his ultimate trying to kill and finish off the 10 HP Joanna, and he popped his
Yeah.
iron skin just at the right moment? H2O, or excuse me, why do I keep saying the wrong tank? Hiva doing a great job piloting that Joe. Wahui here getting engaged on in the top lane. 400 health, 200 health,
He's
even
gonna
popping
get away.
hammers. He does get away. Oh, but here's a root from Dane. Ultimate here coming out from Hiva Iron, slapping away, big disengage. Idiom's getting a little low on health. Joshua Scott getting picked on. There's the mech down. Ooh, but the gust comes out, but it's not enough to save his team as H2O comes in with a huge engage, killing Idioms in the blink of an eye. Hiva Iron Automatic Z on the retreat here. Frag H2 and Dane pursuing, hot on the tail. Wahui here mopping up this top lane. Both teams are at level 20, so let's take a look at level 20 talents. We got the slap from Stukov, Wind Tunnel. Yeah, Valo's going full AA build, that's for sure. Hellgate from Diablo. Oh, look at the level 20 for Leoric, Gingy.
Yeah, I don't agree with this from Wahui. He's taken this both times, and I really don't understand why the team has very good escapability, and the silence would just shut them down. I really don't like this Burning Despair pick.
Interesting. Maybe he knows something we don't. I'm certainly no Leoric player. Root going on to Hiva. He's been doing a great job of eating those roots up all day. Eating those boops up. I mean, as he should be doing. A proper tank player should be the one consuming most of the CC from the Junkrat, and Hiva's been doing exactly just that. Joshua Scott does have his bomb, but Ruby here did get to this before Xanthite and has a 29 lead. Hiva getting a little low, does decide to go in on the Stukov route. There's the Mighty Gust. Oh, but Danalore trying to keep his team alive, but it's not enough as Diva does kill them and finishes them off, but not before Joanna goes down for the count. H2O getting really low, but does he have his soul seize? Does. He's back in 5 seconds. Dane, can you keep yourself alive through this? Unfortunately, no. The Divine Reckoning, it did come down, but it wasn't enough to keep everyone alive as PRX is going to take this with only 1 remaining. Oh, Junkrat used the Riptire trying to get that last Immortal. Beautiful job there, but it unfortunately wasn't enough. Ridiculously close, says the Lazy Hydra. Yes, indeed, it has been ridiculously close. We have the Immortal. What Punisher is this? This is a Mortar Punisher, one of the higher DPS ones. Would be nice if it were a Frozen for the side of PRX, being able to shut down this fort, but unfortunately that is not the case. Iron healing everyone up, keeping Idioms nice and alive as he does get engaged on. Lots of damage onto H2O. Remember, he has no souls, and he does go down rather quickly, and this is not looking very good for the side of Ruby. Losing their tank player right as the objective phase is coming up. I don't know if they can take this core, Gingy. There's the Wind Tunnel coming out.
This is a very risky play, yeah.
This is very risky. I mean, Wahui here, if he lands a good entomb, oh, which he does! Iron trying to slap people away, trying to stay alive, does pop his pustule, throws a W out, trying to get away. And there's the Riptire coming out, probably going for Iron. But Automatic Z does shut it down, and they are popping it right before any serious damage can be done. What damage mitigation coming out from PRX. They were admittedly a little greedy there, and they did not get punished. Very well executed, going for this bottom camp here. Taking a look at our XP, 2 offlaners nearly deadlocked. 18,302. PRR picking up this top left camp. PRX doing the same for the bottom right. Next objective here is middle. We do have a level 20 Vala, but we also have level 20 Wind Gust, Wind Tunnel. Shaman Camp pushing top with a catapult. A lot of macro going on here as we get to the late game. Just take a look at this Stukov build. See how I feel about it. This is beautiful. This would be the Stukov build I would go in this situation. Pox Populi being able to leverage the biotic armor. Lots of really good synergy between that. Jinji, what's the deal with this Blessed Hammer talent? It seems kind of like a meme talent to me, but it's actually being picked here.
I actually thought that for a while too, but it's actually really good on Infernal Shrines because you're constantly getting those auto attacks and you're releasing hammers everywhere on the point. And I think it's honestly probably the better pick out of all the options there in terms of point control.
Interesting. And also, as we just saw, scouted the bush for Hiva. Look at that, Hiva knowing there's a trap there, popping his Iron Skin. I'm very impressed with the play of PRX. The execution from all of the members of their team have been incredible. Few standout players for me, not trying to spoil MVP. Have to be the tank and the healer on the side of PRX. Iron and Hiva are doing a great job within their respective roles. Ours above says the X stands for execution. Yes, it does. Ruby here, not to be outdone. Wahooey's done a great job on that Leoric before. Danelor is on his main, and let's not discount the Diablo plays that we've seen. Gotten a lot of damage with that Flame Breath. Possibly final, objective phase here. And we have PRX getting a pretty serious advantage, 15-3. And Gingy, you know what that means. They have no choice. Ruby has no choice but to engage. They have to fight. And there's the Almighty Gust coming out, pushing people away. There's the Divine Reckoning. All the abilities are coming out here, but no deaths to speak of. A root coming out onto Hiva. No follow-up there. Automatic Z getting wrestled around by H2O, but the team is there to support him, forcing the Hellgate out. Zoom out here just a little bit. The swipes are coming out. Automatic Z getting bullied by the Leoric, but Idioms comes to push him back. No deaths to speak of, and a full Immortal here for the side of PRX. But the fight isn't over, ladies and gentlemen. Ruby maybe getting stuck as the Immortal is jumping on to H2O. He does have some souls. Is he going to be able to get out? He is not. Danelor has no mana, but they do manage to take one member of PRX down, but not before an insane Stukov root comes out. But it's not enough. 2 members go down, and 3 for the side of Ruby. What do you think here? Can they end on the side of PRX?
I don't know if they can. It looks like they might try to go for it.
I think they're just going core. I mean, oh man, these roots from Dane have been excellent. Dane, you've got this. You've got this. Stay sturdy. Stay steady. Oh, but Hiva says, nope, I'm just gonna jump on you. Hiva, what an insane player. Oh, right as I say that, he dies by dead to bots. That happens. I eat my words. I swear I curse people here. Danelor trying to keep people alive. Ooh, come on, come on. Oh, it's not enough. Is PRX going to die on core, or is Joshua Scott going to be able to bring this home? We're at 25%, we're at 23%. Joshua Scott drops his bomb and is being engaged on, but he dies. That's a full 5-man wipe for the side of PRX, leaving the core at 17%. Can the Punisher bring it home?
It's hitting minions!
Oh!
Oh no!
A question mark coming out in chat. Falstad? Says Ara. Falstad? Falstad, can he do it? Wow. Well, what went wrong there on the side of PRX?
I honestly think they should have just pushed with the Punisher.
Yeah, maybe they got a little too greedy. I mean, my coach from back in the day would always tell me, if you have 2 members down on the enemy team post 20, then it's pretty free. It's a pretty free core. But 1 member down is very risky. What did they have? They had, I think, a 3v2.
It
I
was a
can't remember.
3v2, which is way too risky because you only have a one-man advantage there.
Yeah. Yeah, it was indeed 3v2. I think that was greedy. I mean, maybe it was confidence. Maybe it was hubris. I mean, we've seen the execution here on the side of PRX, and maybe they just thought, "Hey, we can get it. We believe in our team. We believe in our skills." And admittedly, they got very close, but the shield here already bringing the core back up to what, 40%?
About. The other thing is they have to worry about backdoors and constant core pressure. So it's looking really rough for Ruby here, where Xanthite still has all their keeps and Ruby basically has none, with this
Yes.
last one sitting at barely any health at all.
I still like the draft for Ruby a little bit more as we go into the late game. Lazy Hydra in chat here saying with Falstad, Raynor, PRX can just split at the next objective. That's actually very true. Wait to see where PRR shows and then do the other. Yeah, I mean the ability. I mean, at this point, what the Lazy Hydra in chat is pointing out is that there's multiple win conditions for PRR at this point. I mean, the next objective is top, and this keep is what, 1 HP more or less. I mean, it's just gonna bulldoze down this lane. And if they try to contest this objective, all 5 members of PRX can go bot and try to steal it. I mean, they have to clear this bottom camp right now. Man, what a series, Gingy. Both of these teams are so skilled and are showing a lot of big brain power. I think one of the skills of, I mean, with the exception of game one, one of the great skills that we've seen from Ruby so far is just excellent drafting. They're playing really well together. And game two is absolutely just a draft win. And they have a slight lead in the draft this game as well. So really good planning, really good target bans for the side of Ruby. And here we see Xanthite already on the objective. No bomb for Joshua Scott. Hiva doing what he can, trying to push them off by those precious seconds of time to let Joshua Scott do the Lord's work and kill these Shrine minions. But PRR is not going to go down without saying something about it. Automatic Z pops his ult, trying to zone them off, but Hiva, almost getting deleted, has to run out of there, and PRR, for their troubles, does get a trade of 2 ultimates, 3 ultimates actually. There's the APOC, or excuse me, the Hellgate coming out. The Divine Reckoning does not connect for more than a second. Neither does the Lightning Breath. A lot of whiffs, but the root comes out onto Joshua Scott. H2O jumping in there. Are we going to see a follow-up root? Iron, it's up to you, my man. Can you land a fat Stukov? He goes for it, and it does not connect. But there's a root. Dane getting these roots off left and right. Clearly very skilled at his character. Idioms is flying into core! Ladies and gentlemen, he's going for it. He's going for it. Oh, Idioms on the core! Oh, wow. That was fun. That was very fun.
Definitely an interesting series.
Oh man, idioms. That was funny. That was very funny. The Falstaff. Oh, got a good laugh out of that. Oh, Gingy, it's been a pleasure co-casting with you, my man. Before I'm not sure if we actually have time for MVPs. Well, we might actually. You go ahead and do MVPs for both teams. Do it briefly if you could, and I'll go ahead and see if we can set up a Discord interview with our boys.
I'm gonna have to give the MVP on the side of Ruby over to Dane. He really kept them through a lot of team fights with his ultimates when they landed. He was able to sustain them through crazy amounts of damage in some of those skirmishes, and honestly kept them in most of those team fights. So shout out to him on that MVP. And then for PRX, I think it has to go to Idioms for just ending the game. Getting those
Completely agree.
gusts getting those gusts in when he needed to, disengaging, getting the damage output, and then just ending the game when he knew he could.
Beautiful series from both teams. And would you join me in NGS coin toss map pick 3, please?
Yes.
I'll meet you there. All right, we've got Gingy. We've got myself, obviously. Aura saying Iron MVP Game 3. If it were me, I would probably have to give it to Iron, but I totally get why we had the MVP come out for Idioms. Yeah, Idioms is great too. Okay, so Game 1 we were on Battlefield of Eternity. Game 2 we had Tomb of the Spider Queen. And Game 3 we had Infernal Shrines. Okay, interesting. A lot of really interesting drafts on both teams, and we're joined here by our good friend Idioms. How the heck are you, man?
I'm doing heckin' good. How the heck are you, my neighbor?
I am hecking wonderful. I was I was absolutely losing it
Oh
in
no.
game chat, just laughing when I saw you fly in on Falstad and just go ham on the core. So you're feeling good. This is a 2-1 victory for you. Um,
Mhm.
and let's start with some questions on game 1, shall we? That was on Battlefield of Eternity. Now, Gingy and I were talking during that game. And I want to ask you about the draft because we were very surprised that the Chen came out and the Rexar came out. Can you tell us if that showed up in your scouting and also what your reaction was to seeing that very unconventional comp come out from the side of Ruby?
Like, to be honest, it is kind of a crazy draft. I'm surprised they picked it, but I'm not too surprised about the Chen pick. I was more about the Kerosene pick. But H2O playing bruisers, pretending to be a tank player, is kind of what he does. And so it looks like that's what happened. I guess they were looking to engage off of Panda Pals, but 120-second cooldown. Yeah, pretty surprising draft. We just stuck with our plan, and it's they kind of picked into it.
What was your plan going into Battlefield? From what Gingy and I were able to tell, it looked like you were going for some sort of single target blowup.
Yeah, like there's a few things you need to juggle on this map. We definitely did have the single target blow up, but we wanted to make sure we had raise. We wanted to make sure we had camp clear. We wanted to make sure that we could control rotations. So in terms of that, we got almost everything we wanted. And obviously, double support's just very good. Battlefield is kind of like an ARAM map, so if you have wave clear to support it, double support's very good.
Yes, exactly. Moving on to game 2, that was kind of a tricky game. Um, Gingy and I, again, we were in the draft screen picking apart some of the picks and bans that were coming out. And the first ban was, as you probably know, Tychus into first pick Leoric, if I remember correctly, which paved the way beautifully for a Deathwing to come in, which kind of put the burden of execution on PRX, on your team, to pull through. What was your game plan going into that game? And do you agree that you are disadvantaged in the draft?
I think we had tools to deal with the Deathwing. From my perspective, the Deathwing did work, but I don't feel like the Deathwing was the problem. And why some of those fights went unfavorable. Like, we didn't recognize our power spikes, and we just kind of fed early, gave up structures, gave up space. Their draft was very much more standard than what I was expecting, and we actually knew he was going to pick the Deathwing. I know Hunter X only plays like a few heroes, and he played 3 of 4 of his heroes this series. So Deathwing, I knew was coming out. I thought with the Greymane Hanzo, Kerosene, that we could just kind of deal with him, but definitely the ETC just kind of hit like a stopping point in all these fights against it. So probably not the best pick in Deathwing, and probably gave them the advantage in drafts.
Hmm.
So yeah, I'd agree with that.
Okay, fair enough.
Long
Yeah.
story short.
Yeah, no worries. I mean, ultimately, you guys still did win the series on this final game on Infernal Shrines. I have 2 more questions for you, and then I'll pass it off to Gingy. My first question on Infernal Shrines here is I know recently you've had Hiva move to a tanking role, And I was really impressed watching Haiva on this game because he was constantly eating traps, very intentionally. And at one point on a mid fight, he had a Junkrat missile, whatever that ultimate is called, barreling in towards the skull, and he popped his Iron Skin just in the nick of time to not die. So my question for you is, how has that transition been on your team?
Yeah, Haiba has really taken a shining to it. He's put in a lot of work. He's worked with a coach, specifically just kind of learning how to, like, what teams want from their tank and some tips and tricks of the trade. So he's been putting in a lot of work. I put him on two very boring tanks this series, and then one tank kind of inting. But I thought he played very well again. He's really picked up the role, and Z's kind of slotted in as that DPS for us.
Yes, exactly. Really good execution from your team all around. I really have to commend PRX for just, I don't know, like you guys are almost telepathic or something. You're clearly doing what you need to do to out execute your opponents. And now for my final question, the
Mm-hmm.
most important question. We were looking
Go
at
ahead.
the APM throughout the
Oh no.
match.
Oh no. Not good. Not good.
And I noticed that your APM was 0 for
Yeah.
good chunks of the game. And we were in chat, Lazy Hydra and we were talking in chat, and we're thinking, how is he maintaining his calm player status? How is Idioms able to maintain this APM of 0? And currently, the leading theory is that you hold right click as you're moving
I,
around the map.
I do. I do hold right click.
Oh.
So it tanks my APM a lot. I don't always do it, but I definitely do it a lot, especially in team fights. So the APM does drop pretty low, um, but that's only a theory that affects that, right? I'm not sure if it does affect it. Maybe I'm just actually that calm when I'm playing. Um, I can like any kind of mechanics in any kind of sport or video game to kind of like knocking on a door. Like you just have to get used to the knocking motion. Like the first
Mhm.
time you've ever walked up to a door, you don't know what to do, right? You're just like slamming your fist against it. You don't know, but eventually you kind of get it. So uh, my old man status has kind of dragged me to a point where I can knock on the door decently, even though I hold right click going around the map.
I mean, nonetheless, your play on Falstad was very good. You flew in to get the core despite the 0 APM at a few points throughout the match, and most importantly, your gusts were incredible. I was a little worried going into the draft that there might be some non-bows where you might gust people away from a Diva Bomb or some sort of CC, but it's actually quite the opposite. Every gust, except for I think one, got value. So I commend you on your play. I congratulate you on your win. And before we go to shoutouts, I'll pass it off to my wonderful co-caster here, Mr. Gingy Boy himself, and see what questions he has.
All right, let's hear it, Jinji. Give me your best.
Honestly, I don't really have any questions. He kind of hit all the pointers. So just a good match, honestly. So good job.
Yeah, they played really well.
Absolutely. One shout out before I give you shout outs. I want to give a shout out to Iron for his Stukov play. Aura's above in chat saying Iron MVP game 3, and I'm going to have to agree. His Stukov roots were absolutely insane. So, real shout out for some of the excellent play on your team. Now the floor is yours, Idioms. What do you have for us?
First and foremost, shout out to my beautiful fiance. We're getting married next month, so thank you
Congratulations.
for supporting me, being the love of my life. Shout out to my team and to all my friends on the team. Uh, Kind of a rough start to the season, but I think we're playing really well. We're gelling, we're having fun, which is always really important. Shout out to you guys for casting. Shout out to PRR. I know they didn't have like the best showing tonight in terms of who they want to show up on the roster, but I thought they played really well. Really enjoyed my series against them, and yeah, that and shout out to Phoenix Rising. Big brain organization.
Thank you, Idioms. It's always a pleasure to watch you guys play, to watch PRR play. Very well played on the side of PRR. As we close out this cast, I want to congratulate you one last time on your win as we start to look towards the playoffs. And please, everyone here, on behalf of Phoenix Rising and Phoenix Rising Caster Network, we wish you all a pleasant evening and good night.